happy Friday. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to mention something really quick. I looked in YouTube Studio and I was looking at the numbers, and I noticed that over 90% of people who are viewing my videos are not subscribed. Please click that like button, click that subscribe button, get me higher up on the rankings. I really would appreciate it. We are over 10 episodes now, which is good. Today I'm going to take it inside for a minute. We've spent a lot of time outside. Today I'm going to just take it inside, and we are going to work on changing a front tire off of the 1981 Yamaha XS850 triple. I've got the tire off so that you didn't have to see me in my garage. I'm not putting a new tire on here because I have this other tire and I don't even know the shape of drivability of what the 850 is going to be. So for right now, we're just going to use this tire that I already have. These are, I believe, 100 by 90 by 19. Yep, 100 by 90 by 19 tires. So we're going to pop off this tire because number one, it's flat and I was just going to replace the tube, but then then I took a look at the sidewall. Yeah, see that sidewall? Right, where is it? Right there. See that sidewall? Not good. You do not want to ride around on any tires that are doing that, okay? So not that this tire is a whole lot better, but it is not weather checked like that. Yes, they have date codes on tires, and you always should adhere to those, but this tire is pretty decent. It's going to be good enough for what we're doing, and then once I get the 850 actually moving around under its own power, then I will think about changing out the tires and everything else. But for right now, I just want air in the front tire so I can push it around in the garage and in the driveway a little bit easier than what it is. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, so some things that we will need in order to change this tire. We need our tire spoons. I bought these on Amazon. I will put the link down below. They seem to be pretty decent. I wish they were a little bit longer, but I think these are going to work for what we need them for, hopefully. They also come with these rim protectors. I've heard mixed reviews about these rim protectors. Most people just take a bottle like this and they cut the side of the bottle out and they use that as a rim protector. But for right now, I will probably use those if I even use any at all. Because this rim is kind of already beat up a little bit, but we'll see. You're also going to need a wrench because there's going to be a nut holding the valve stem onto the rim. We needed to take that out so that the tube will be able to be pulled out. And then lastly, a little bit of glass cleaner. This isn't glass cleaner though, it's just got some soapy water in it. It just helps to lube up everything. Another reason for me being inside is this is padded flooring. So that way I don't screw up my rotors or anything like that while I'm pressing on it, because I'll be kneeling on the rim in order to break the bead and separate what I need to in order to get the tire out of there, okay? So let's get into the thick of it, ladies and gentlemen, shall we? Okay, so the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take off these nuts. That way we can... When all's said and done, we'll be able to remove the tube from the rim. So what I usually traditionally do is, this has double nuts on it here. I'm going to take off the first one all the way. There we go. First one is off. Then for the second one, I'm going to break it loose. And I'm going to take it almost all the way out. Maybe like to right there. So just so if I need to, and I will need to, I'll be able to push it in. See how it kind of pushed in? I'll be able to push in. Oh, you know what? This one actually has a little bromide on it too. So let's get that bromide out of there. And let's put this nut just barely on. There we go. Okay. So now that we have that, we can work on the first thing that we have to do is we have to make sure that the bead's broken. Luckily, this thing's been sitting around without its without any air in it. And I mean, look, that bead's already broke. So we're pretty good to go there. Usually, if you need to break a bead, you can break it with your spoons. Basically just moving your spoons in about 1.5 inches from one another, prying and popping them down to where they pop down. So, for example, have it in like this, just pop it down. I usually pop it down, kind of press down with your hand too as you're going around. I know this one's already popped, but that's basically what you're going to do, okay? You want to make sure with these spoons, they are rounded, which is good. But just make sure, try to be mindful of where the tube is in relation inside here. So the last thing you want to do is go through all the hassle of getting this tube replaced and then finding out that you have stabbed the spoon into the tube and marred it up or popped a hole in it. Sometimes people will do this with screwdrivers too. You can do it with screwdrivers in emergency instance, but you want to make sure that you're really looking. Be very, very mindful because, like I said, nothing is going to make you more frustrated than doing all of this and then knowing that, hey, I have a hole in my brand new tube now. So now we have to get this off. I usually start a little bit away from the valve stem, and basically what you're going to do is see how there's a bend to that? So when you're breaking a bead, it goes up so it can push down, okay? When you're wanting to separate, you flip it over because you're basically going to be grabbing the end of the tire, and you want to make sure that you get it down underneath that tire, and you're going to be pulling up like that, okay? What's nice about this with the 850 having double rotors is I can actually slip that first one under there to hold it. See how convenient that is? Then you take another one and you take it and maybe put it another, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, maybe even 3 inches or 6 inches. Hell, who knows? We're guys, we all lie about the length anyway, right? So I'm going to call this a good few inches here and just basically trying to press it down and get it in there, work it in there, and it might end up being a little bit of a chore, and you'll know when you have it in because it'll slip back like that. Then pull it once again. Lock it in place. So now it's all locked in place. Now we should be able to pull this first one out. And then we can do the same thing now. And we just keep on walking it around. So we're going to kind of jam it in there and feel where it goes. Pop it out. That makes this one good to go. Move the tire around. And it's always a good idea, guys and gals, to like I said, try to do this either on a padded area or something like that because you do not want to really mar up your rotors if you don't have to. Sometimes these things can really be a pain to get down in because you got to get right behind that tire. There we go. And all we're doing is we're just little by little popping it off of there. See? Now it's starting to get a lot easier. We might not even need the second one in, but I usually leave it in because just in case, you never know, you might be doing this with a friend, someone might step on it or a dog or something like that, and then bam, it pops the bead or it pops the tire back in, and then you're kind of back to square one. So, but we're slowly making our rounds here. It's not very hard. It's just kind of, I don't know, maybe a little bit time consuming, right? Okay, oops, I actually grabbed that under both. I want to grab it under both sides, but that's all right. We have this bead off now, so we should be able to kind of snake this down and around. And if we snake it down and around, then we do the same thing, except this time, You should be able to see there, except this time we're putting it underneath the bottom side as well. We're basically walking it as far as we can walk it to try to get the back side to come over this bead as well. And that's why I say if you kneel on it, sometimes it works a lot better when you kneel on it too. You can really get it to move a lot more. Oops, can't pull it through there. See, I'm just putting pressure, keeping pressure there. And then just start walking it. There we go. There we go, guys, huh? There. Now it's popped off. Okay, so you have the tire, you have the rim, now what? Well, I always, number one, kind of lube this up a little bit, because every little bit of lubing helps in this instance. And actually, a lot of times I'll lube the inside of the bead, the sidewall. Well, the bead, not the sidewall, but the bead. Just once again, I'm trying to make it a little bit more slick. So we have it here. I try to grab a corner and get a corner in, and then try to spin it. It's kind of hard to do with one person because unless you have like a tire stand that you can lock this onto, you're spending time holding the rim and trying to spin this at the same time. But sometimes you can luck out. I don't think today's going to be the day that I'm lucking out. So we can see where it stopped. It stopped there, and it stopped there. So we're going to pick an end, and I think I'm going to pick this end, and we're just kind of popping her down and then pushing on the tire as well. So just working it little by little, just working it in, and it'll go. You just have to, even if it's a half inch at a time or 3/4 of an inch at a time, as you are working on it, see, it'll move as long as you always have that other one. That helps. And sometimes, once again, when you're getting closer, I'm not getting so close yet, but when you get close, sometimes you can just push down on it, and it'll really help to close that gap, as it were. So one thing I want to show you is usually your arrows will tell you which way is the drive, and it says front wheel this way drive. All the tread then goes this way. So this is where the end of the axle shaft, or whatever you want to call it, fits in. The other side is the side where the speedometer control goes. So I already know the orientation of how this tire is going to fit on the bike so that we don't put this on backwards, because we don't want to go through the whole rigmarole of putting a tire on only to find out that we put it on backwards, and now we have to put it on again, because you can't just flip it around because these orifices are different. Okay, so I did forget to say that, and I apologize, but I'm saying it now. I have an anchor point that I just try to get the other one in. Oh, might not need to. I might be able to. Let's see. Oh, no. See what we can do here. We're getting so close, but usually the last ones are the hardest ones because you have so much. There we go. You have so much tension. So when I ended up popping the tire on, I ended up seating both beads, and I didn't want to do that, and I forgot about that, and I'm sure you guys will give me grief on the in the comments, but that's okay. So now that we have the tire on the back bead, but the front bead is off, we're going to take and put the tube in, and we have to line up the valve stem. So the valve stem hole is right there. So what we're going to do then is we're going to kind of pop this in here. It should give you enough room all the way around to basically kind of just pop it in, you know. You want to make sure that it's laying kind of flat, these tubes. I mean, they're wide, so they will want to sit pretty flat. You just want to make sure that there's not any kinks in them, you know, because once you have it all in, that's the last thing that you want is having a big kink in it. So just make sure that the bottom stays the bottom, the top stays the top. And once it's all the way in, you should have a little bit of pliability as far as being able to slide it a little bit this way and that way. You won't have a whole lot. That's why we're pretty dead nuts as far as where that needs to go. So we're gonna push it in there, and actually I'm gonna switch it around here because it'll be easier for probably for you and for me to see. Okay, so once you get the valve stem started, one thing that you're gonna want to do, make sure you put your little grommet back on. Make sure you at least start a nut on it, because you don't want that to slip back around and come out of the hole, because then you're going to be doing this all over again. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to do that. I only want to do it once, right? So I usually, you know, about right there will be good enough for right now until we get everything seated in. Okay, so now we have this bead needs to go on. So this is where tire spoons are a lot better for this than screwdrivers, because now we have a tube in here. This is rounded. Screwdriver's pretty flat and can puncture. So what we want to do, I usually just try to push it in like I'm pushing it in right now, but there may come a time where I may need to use the tool. Sometimes you can use your knees, just a little bit of extra oomph. The closer you get to the rim, or the closer you get to it being on the bead, I mean, the harder it's going to be to push it on the rim with your knees. So then, this is where the tire spoon comes in. These things are awesome. You just want to get it underneath there. As long as you can get it on the lip, or under the lip rather, then we just, boom, see that? Just kind of caress it on there. And sometimes you don't even need that much force. It's just all about, see? It's just all about getting it on there. So, and then, of course, we switch, rinse and repeat. A lot of times, once again, put your knee in there. Oops, put your knee in there. You always want to take the outside one out and leave this one, because this one is kind of holding all this in. Grab another, 2 inches or so. Pop it in. There we go. Okay, so now that we have it on both beads, this side and the other side, we checked it and made sure that everything's okay. Now we have to tighten up the valve stem nut here. Interestingly enough, the old one was a 13 millimeter and this new one is a 12 millimeter. So we're just gonna tighten it up, and as we tighten it up, it's drawing the tube towards the rim, right? Or at least this part of it. With each turn, you're seeing that valve stem just get a little bit longer and a little bit longer, right? And that's exactly what we want. Okay? And we're getting it to a point now where it's getting pretty tough, which is good. And it's hitting against that grommet, which once again is good. There. I'd say that's pretty good right there, guys. Okay, so with the valve stem nut on, now we're going to go outside and we're going to air it up. Now we're outside. Now the next thing to do is we want to air this up. A, make sure that we don't have any leaks, but B, also by the tube expanding, it's going to also expand the side of the tire, and it should kind of lock it in place, right? So we want to make sure that the bead kind of locks in place. Even though we have a tube in here, we still want to make sure everything is correct, right? I'm not really using a tire gauge for this. I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm going to pop in maybe 25 pounds or so, 25 pounds, and we'll kind of go from there. So I put it in a little bit at a time, just because I want to make sure that I can gauge this this bead. Sometimes I'll give it some bounces and some, just to see if it'll pop in place, but that bead's looking good. Okay guys, so if you like what you saw, remember to please click that like and subscribe. Yes, I know I am not a professional tire changer. Yes, ultimately you do want to use a rim protector, but I didn't. So with that being said, everybody, have a great and safe weekend. And click that like, click that subscribe. I cannot stress that enough. That is how I will continue to be able to bring these videos to you, okay? And I thank you very much for those of you who have subscribed, and for those of you who do click that like button and do share this video, because we're in it together. We are building this bike together. I may be getting my hands dirty, but you are there in spirit, and you are helping me morale-wise by clicking that like and clicking that subscribe. Thanks, guys.